I'm here with Olivia Henneman. She's a real estate agent on our team, and she's also works on all of our contracts. So you do multiple things here, don't you?
I do.
And you're only 20 years old, right?
21.
Well, at least I don't think you're 19.
That's true.
I literally said she was 19 for like the first year or two, I think.
Well, I started when I was 19, so maybe that's when.
Okay, so how long have you been here?
A year and a half.
Wow, time flies. So there is no dumb questions in real estate.
Well, it took me a while to come up with some good ones.
Okay.
Okay, so oftentimes I hear you say that you want realtors to have deeper conversations with clients. So how are some ways that you are able to get deeper in conversation with someone?
Okay. So how to get deeper.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think when you're talking to people and you have a conversation with them and you talk about, like, it could be like, let's say you're just flat out texting somebody or messaging them you're on Facebook and they're commenting on your post. So you could go on the post and just reply back, hey, thanks, or great. But then on top of that, you could literally go to Messenger and just shoot them a message. Hey, thanks for commenting on that. I really appreciate that. So that's just like a deeper, like going to just DMing them and just saying that. I mean, if you say a nice comment to them on DM, they're probably going to say, oh, great, thanks, or they're going to like it. So they'll just think a little deeper on that particular thing.
That's true, and it doesn't take you much time at all.
No. And I think you have to, I think the same could be said just when you're talking to people or engaging people, is just ask them some more personal questions about what they're doing. Just engage them a little farther than you normally would.
Yep.
Ask them an extra question. Ask them, about their goal board or what they're doing, or, what's that graduation thing on the top of are you going to graduate something?
I'd like to finish my college degree.
Awesome. And you're working on that?
I'm on a break right now. I have 3 classes left. So whenever I became a realtor, I was doing that instead of college. So now that I'm a realtor, I'm going to go back and finish it.
See, ask a deeper question,
Yep.
Get the answer, and then remember that. And then when you see that person again, you could literally talk about something that you talked about the last time.
Yeah, that's good.
But going deeper, helping people is the one way. Just like by you helping the friends of yours that need to sell the house,
Yep.
do you think that made an impact?
I definitely think so.
Did they thank you?
Yes.
Wow.
A million times.
And we're not doing it to get thanked or to get that
No.
listing. If you just do that over and over and over, you do more for people, this stuff will come back. And then referrals will happen, and it just naturally the universe will return those favors, I think.
Yeah,
And I've seen it happen.
I agree.
What's your next question?
Okay.
If I don't answer these good enough, just ask me again.
What sets a great realtor apart from just a good realtor?
Okay. I think a great realtor versus a good realtor. I think a good realtor is going to do the job. I don't think a great realtor is going to stop whatever they're doing on a Saturday to go show a house. And I do this watching my wife, and we'll be getting ready to go do something on Saturday or a Sunday, and the first thing we say, hey, do you have to show any clients a house? We're working around their schedule on the weekends just because we know people have a limited amount of time to do what they need to do, and especially if they find a house that hits the market, as competitive it is, if we don't stop and do that, then we're not really, we could miss out on that house, and that could hurt our clients.
That's true.
And the other thing that we've been able to do as agents is we've been able to do the same thing you did. We've been able to help people with our construction background to fix up a house or get something done on a house to get it ready to sell so that the seller can get more money. That's been a huge avenue that we've done, year over year. And on top of that, we've been able to help a lot of our clients. I know Mike's talked about this. We've helped a lot of people invest in real estate. So not only have we helped them as a realtor, we've helped them learn how to invest to another level as well.
Yeah, that's very good.
Oh, and we have a good team of people here to help our clients, and they appreciate having good people.
That's good. So how do you suggest that I, as a realtor, measure my progress?
Okay. I've said this to all of our agents. I think having a sheet where you're tracking what you're doing on a daily basis will tell you if you're winning the week or you're losing the week. If you're making your 15 to 20 contacts every single day, the sheet that you're writing this stuff down on, it doesn't lie. So I think that's why I want a visual for my agents. I want them to have a piece of paper that shows their activity and what they're doing in a week's time. And calls, notes, and pop-bys is how you can really track what you're doing. I think if you're doing those religiously, and then if you're not getting deals and you're still making tons of contacts, then we got to start figuring out, okay, where our dialogue's wrong, or the questions we're asking, or how we're doing it is not working whatsoever. But I think building a database and working your database is how you can track what you're doing. There would be weeks where I would struggle and I was not selling something for a week or two, and I would go back to, am I filling up that sheet? Maybe I'm not making 20 that day. Maybe I'm making 40 contacts in one day, and maybe 40 and 40. It's just a fact. The more work you put in, the more you're going to get out of it. Now, I will say, when I was selling real estate early on, I was at the office 7 in the morning to 7 p.m.
Wow.
I didn't leave unless I had an appointment. Or I got tired of being at the office and I went and did a pop-by. So I went and saw clients. I went and saw my database of people, and I was constantly just trying to figure it out. But I literally remember being in that office. Now, I didn't have kids, so it was a little easier. A lot of our agents have kids and don't have that ability. But I think if you're a new agent and you're not working 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, I don't know. I really don't know. You just have to do it for a short amount of time until you build up your thing.
Yep, and then it'll pay off in the future.
Yeah, and if you're doing the right thing, if you're working that database religiously, like you need to go in your office and shut the door and shut it for those 2-3 hours and just call your people, connect with them, go deeper. It's easier to go deeper. You can check out their social media before you call them.
That's a very good point. I like that.
I used to do that. You know, if you saw they went on a trip, hey, I saw you went on a trip last week. You can leave a voicemail. Leave a voicemail and then shoot them a text afterwards. Sorry, I missed you. If you know. And I just like to constantly be the agent that is helping them, not only with real estate but with anything.
Yep.
Like if they need a garage door person, I use that example because I had to give referrals multiple times for a garage door. If they need a roofer, if they need an electrician, if they need an accountant, I'm there to help give them that referral. But then another way to go deeper is when I give them that referral, I'm going to teach them how to work with that particular person I'm referring them to.
Now, how do you do that?
Well, let's see. I may give them the person that's an electrician. Okay, let me think of an example. I'll just use let's say I'm giving them a paver, like someone to pave their driveway. I'll say this guy is a phenomenal paver, but you need to make sure you're happy with his price because he does give higher prices sometimes versus others. So make sure you're happy with the price. But if he does the job for you, you can bet his job is going to be perfect. So if I tell them that and they pay high amount for it, I gave them the warning that they had to make sure they price check.
That's a very good
So
point.
I just want to be clear. And sometimes I'll go a step further. I'll call that paving guy and I'll say, hey, these are my friends. Take care of them. And I'm going to give you more business. So like you can, and then I'm working the paving guy too, like for referrals. Like I'm working at all angles all the time.
It's good to make all those connections.
Yep.
Okay. So you've definitely played a huge part in my decision to become a realtor, and I appreciate everything that you do and how you coached me. So did you ever have a mentor, and did they ever influence you?
I really can't. I was kind of forced to get into real estate. So I was building houses, and then I forced my wife to get her real estate license. Like I literally,
So she didn't want it?
Not really. I kind of said, you need to do this. Like I just said, we need a realtor. You're going to do it. And she did it, and she did good at it. And she's a hard worker. She doesn't give up. Any obstacle she would overcome, what she would get, she would like fight through it in all cases. And I would say, there was a time in 2008 where we couldn't build houses anymore, so I had to do something else. And I liked real estate, so I was like, okay, I'll become a realtor and I'll start building, I think we can sell houses. So I got my real estate license, and ironically, we had owned a real estate company, which I would never recommend doing. If you want to own a real estate company, you need to own like 30 of them, not just one. And it was really hard owning a real estate company. It was really, really tough owning a company and then trying to sell real estate. So once we got partnered with Berkshire Hathaway and we just did a team, that things got a lot better for us. We could just focus on selling real estate.
Wow.
But what was the question again? I want to make sure.
Did you have a mentor?
Okay. I would say I don't think we had a mentor. I didn't have one locally that would help us. Social media wasn't really huge, 15 years ago. So it wasn't like I followed anybody and copied them. But I would say we did get connected through our company, and Brian Buffini was our coach. So you hear about us talking, like we coached the Buffini system. So basically it's no calls and Popeyes. And I think a lot of what we did to be good at real estate was following the Brian Buffini system.
And you believe it works?
I believe it works 100%.
Yeah.
So that's why I coach it. That's why I'm going to focus on my agents' database. I'm going to focus on their activities towards their database. And I think that will get them business because it got us business.
Yeah.
And it's really not that hard to do. There are some coaching systems out there that have you just call expired listings, call this, call that, call the phone book, call anyone you can. That gets really freaking boring.
Yeah.
And really sucky after about 2 months.
Wow. Did you ever do that?
Yes.
Wow.
That's the Tom Ferry system. So Heather did the Tom Ferry coaching where we would just get the phone book. We would call the Craigslist ads. We would call the expired listings. We would call everybody and no one wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
They hated you. But you were trying to get that one person that you could convince to get an appointment with.
Wow.
And it was like they wanted you to make, 100 calls a day, 200 calls a day. It's just so many calls. And it does work. I know people on that system and they're very successful. Yeah. It just wasn't a fun way of doing business. I like working by referral. I like people calling me up and saying, hey, Rob, can you help my friend out sell their house? And I'm like, yes, I'll take care of your friend just like I take care of you.
Wow.
That's a fun.
Yeah. Do you still work your database?
I do not work my database. I've gotten out of selling real estate. I'm more of an investor now in real estate, so I don't have time to work my database like I should. And I wish I could.
Yeah. Do you still get the referrals?
I don't get referrals as much, but definitely the clients that I kept in touch with all those years, they keep coming back to me.
That's awesome.
And then I send them to Heather and I know Mike has the same thing because Mike has a whole bunch of people that religiously give to him. And
wow.
And I think even Justin has some referrals because I know they've come through the team periodically. But it's a proven system, and we did it for years.
Now, how did you find out about it?
This company, Berkshire Hathaway, brought us Brian Buffini to Lancaster, and he spoke up in front of us. And
wow.
When we heard him speak, we all believed, this guy was teaching something that was really going to work. And the problem is it was $400 a month.
Wow.
We didn't have $400 a month. And my brother's elbowing me. He's like, literally my brother Mike, look, I said, Mike, we can't afford to do it. He's like, Rob, we can't afford not to. He says, you do the coaching and you teach the rest of us.
Wow.
So that's what we did. And from there, it started to work. We started to build momentum. We did everything that the coach said to do. And then eventually I had a coach, Mike had a coach, Heather had a coach. We all had a coach. So we eventually were paying $1,200 and $1,600 a month once everyone was getting coached.
Wow. Have you gone to any Brian Buffini events since then?
We religiously would go to 1 or 2 a year. Whenever he was in Richmond, Virginia, we would always go there. We were always in the front. So we would always be in the front of the room. Well, to be in the front of the room, you'd have to go there early in the morning,
wow.
6 a.m. to get in line because the line would really build up. And it was either Mike or I or Justin or whoever, one of us would always be in the front of the line because every single time the door opened, we were in the top 1 or 2 in the room to be in the front row.
Wow. Why did you want to be in the front row?
When you're in the front row, you can hear what you're connected more.
Yeah, I agree.
We've been in the front row in everything we've ever done.
That's awesome.
I remember when we were building houses way back when, and one of the real estate agents told us, "Stay in your lane. You're a builder. You can't do real estate."
Wow.
We sell way more real estate than that agent ever did.
That's awesome.
So you don't have to stay in your lane all the time. If you think you can do something, I would recommend going and doing it. Because if you put your mind to it, you can do anything.
I agree with that. So what were your toughest challenges when beginning your career as a realtor?
My toughest challenge was a couple things. When I became a real estate agent, I was $1 million in the hole. Like I owed contractors. So I got out of building, and I was just finishing up. I couldn't build houses because every house we built, we lost money on, and I owed him. Look, when we started keeping track, when Kim started, giving me my thing, I owed $1 million to people.
Wow.
And I didn't have it to pay it. So I literally, what I would do is, I would call them. I would call everybody on my list and say, "Hey, I'm working on it. don't file a lawsuit against me, but I'm working on it. If you owe someone money and you call them and tell them I'm working on it, they're not going to get pissed.
Yep.
I'll just say what I did. It took us 5 years to pay off that money, and eventually when we paid off the last person, I think the last person I paid was Meg, her dad. I owed her dad like $15,000 for drywall.
Wow.
And he still did drywall for me all those years.
That's awesome.
But I kept calling. I said, I can't pay you on the old stuff. I can only pay you on the new stuff, but I'll eventually pay you. I think he was one of them. I know Mike Hippensteel, my good buddy that owns a garage in Newville. I owed him a lot of money for a long time too.
Wow.
And I would just call him. And if they called me, and her dad would call me, Rob, how are you doing on that money? I'm like, I'm working on it. I'm getting there. I didn't file bankruptcy. I could have left everyone hanging.
And you knew that you would find that money somehow.
I did, and I did. I paid everyone back.
That's awesome.
$1 million.
Wow.
But the hardest thing for us in 2008 was banks were folding. So you could get something under contract. You could have the clear to close. When you guys all get a clear to close now, like it's a done deal, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. When you got clear to close in 2008, 2009, there was still like a 60% chance the deal was going to fall apart.
Wow.
So we would get to the settlement table and we would be hoping that a deal was going to close. And I remember like, man, if this deal doesn't close, we are in trouble. We are in big, big trouble.
That's scary to think about.
That we couldn't pay our bills if that deal didn't close. Yeah. I didn't get the cash. My business needed the cash to pay the bills.
Wow.
I don't know how we did it. I mean, it was touch and go. And then we just figured we did the Buffini system. I remember sending a handwritten note to a neighbor of a farm I listed, and I ended up selling both sides of that farm to that neighbor.
Wow.
Now I knew the neighbor, but the note did it. The note got the call. The note finished the deal.
Did your client tell you that the note made an impact?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, they called when they got the note.
That's awesome. Now, do you put your business cards in every note that you write?
Yes. Yeah. You want people to know what you do.
Yep.
You don't want to be pushy, but you can't be afraid to ask for business. So many people are afraid to ask their friends and family for business.
That's true.
Not paying your bills is worse.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And we're going into a tricky market right now. It's very difficult. It's going to be more difficult as the year goes along. But we know how to navigate it, and you do it by notes, calls, and Popeyes. And the people that just sit around and are hoping for a deal to come in, it's just not going to come.
Yep, I agree with that. So what do you think is the best way to increase followers on social media? And then how do you turn those followers into your clients?
Okay. I don't know if I've been trying to build clients from my social media.
Okay.
Like I said, when I was selling real estate, I really wasn't doing a lot of social media back then. But I would say the way to increase followers is to post more. And I feel like there's two things. You need to post, and then you need to work your social media like you do your database.
That's true.
So you can't just post stuff, right? And hope people are going to like you.
Yeah.
It's better to give. Go like your friend's posts. Go comment on your friend's posts. Now, I don't think you should do this between 9 to 5. In the early stages. I think in the early stages you need to be working and building your database. Social media, I don't think is something you should work on during the day. I think it should be more in the evening, or when you're like, it's easy to do, so you should do it later in the day.
Yep.
But you need to be connected to that database. It's like an organism. It needs worked. And if you just post stuff and hope people come like you, that's not going to happen. You need to interact, and you need to give to the people in your social media family, and then they'll come and give back. Like I'm always commenting and engaging, and I just asked. I said, please share this post. And I think my assisted living that we're building, I think over 115 people shared it from my social media.
I saw that. That was crazy.
Yeah. So I think they did that because I'm interactive. I'm involved.
That's true.
They know that I care about them, and I think, a lot of them even went and shared it and did a big comment with it, which was really nice. And I've taken a lot of people there. I spent a lot of my time helping people, and I think that's a good reason why my social media works. And I post real stuff all the time.
Yep.
Like I see so many people that like to make a collage, like a professional portrait, and then put that on social media. So I don't think people get engaged by that. And I don't think sharing other people's posts is a good thing either. I think people want to see real life stuff That's why all these real life TV shows are working.
That's a good point.
100%.
Yeah.
So true. Yeah, a lot of people want to see realness.
Yeah, you don't
That's
think
it.
about that.
They want to see what you're doing on a real basis. Like literally, if you just did even if you just turned the video on what you're doing, it could be a recorded video or a live video. They want to see what you're doing.
Yeah. That's very true.
Like doing our goal boards down there this morning. I went and took a video and walked around the room. Now people are gonna versus taking 10 pictures.
Yeah.
People are gonna see my story and watch that, and they're gonna be like, "Wow, I'm gonna go through that." I've taken people's videos and I've stopped it, paused it, looked at them, screenshotted them to see what's going. Like I really go deep on somebody's videos when they do it.
That's true.
But real life stuff,
Now,
not this fake,
yeah.
whatever stuff. Like where you take a picture of yourself and you're like the I hate the ones where people take a picture and it's like it's not even a real version of you.
Yeah.
People would rather see the real messed up version, and the more messed up, the more they like it, which is
I
weird.
agree with that. Do you suggest stories over post or
I do both.
both?
I think you should post. I don't know if I post every day. I hit my stories every day.
Okay.
I posted a picture of Heather riding the Peloton. I got like 500 views on my story yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to do more of that. She just, I'll get a text from her, take that off social media. But the story, it's there and it's gone, right?
Yeah.
But I guess if people screenshot it, right, they could be...
That's true.
They could do it, so...
Yeah.
But I'm seeing young people attacking social media, and it must be working for them because they're as much emphasis as they're putting on it, it must be working.
Yeah, that's very true.
But I bought houses from social media. I bought it from a wholesaler. I've gotten a number of referrals. I bought a number of houses from social media.
That's awesome.
So that's I'm going to continue to do it because I need to buy houses to help people that need to sell those houses, and I think it's a win-win for everybody.
That's great.
We had a panel of people in the mastermind that I'm at, and I was on the fence about doing it. This was 3 or 4 months ago, and I know there was one older gentleman on there that sells land, and when he raised his hand and talked, and he's a very respected guy in our mastermind, like one of the top, and he just shook his head. He says, "Yep, you just got to do it." Even though he's a little older than me, he said, if you don't do it, you're going to be missing the boat. So that was the one.
Wow.
Now, I heard these young kids telling me it's working and you have to do it,
Yep.
but it wasn't until this guy did it that really got me over the fence. And of course, my home team here, Brian and Meg, have been begging me to do it for 2 years.
Wow.
But so that's why we went all in. We got Rashawn here, and we're just putting out content. And eventually something clicks or gives, and you just don't know where it's coming from, but it's all good.
That's awesome. Do you regret not doing it sooner?
100%. Should have done it sooner. Should have done way more 10 years ago.
Wow.
Blown up Instagram, blow them all up. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all of it.
Well, at least you're doing it now.
We're doing it now. What other questions do you have?
Mm,
You had 7.
what do you feel is a skill that many realtors possess that should be worked on to become a better realtor? Like, what's one skill?
Answer the phone. Be there when someone calls.
Yeah.
Like, if someone calls you and needs help with real estate, like, if you're not calling them back in 30 seconds to a minute, that's bad. I think people don't want to wait for anything. I mean, that's why they'll Google, they'll find another place. I mean, they just will not wait.
Have you ever had that happen to you, where you lose a client because you didn't answer your phone?
Yeah. Multiple times.
Yeah.
I think you need to, and I think the other thing that agents don't do is they don't let their family know that they can do it. Sometimes they think they're too busy.
Yeah.
Because you're posting all this stuff on social media that you're busy, you're showing contracts, you're doing houses, and you're only showing the $400,000, $500,000 houses. So someone has a $100,000, $200,000 house in your family doesn't realize that you can do that.
That's a good point.
So you just need to let them know that you can do it and that you're here to help them no matter what the situation. Like, I don't want to miss a mobile home listing in a park.
Really?
I want them all.
That's true.
I've listed many homes in parks. I'm not afraid to do it. I'll list homes in parks. I'll list a terrible house that needs a lot of work. I just want to help everybody.
That's awesome.
But if they don't know, they'll miss you for that stuff.
Yep.
So I think, I think agents need to be responsive quicker. Like, if you're doing something, you just have to call people back. You have to be available. That's the number one thing.
I agree with that.
And then you've got to make your time. You got to answer their questions, and when you're with them, and act like you know what you're doing a little bit.
Yeah.
The second you're meeting with them and engaging with them, like looking at a house, it's going to be hard for them not to use you. So I don't focus on necessarily getting them 100% approved for that first showing. I want to get out there and meet them and really have them know what I'm about. Then I'll pre-qualify them. I'll prove them in my head, and then we'll get them to a lender.
That's awesome. Good point.
Any other questions?
I think that's it, but let me double check. Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay.
Were they good questions?
They're good questions.
Okay.
So tell me this. So Heather just talked about this the other day. She wants to do a thing where we bring in this. We're thinking like teenagers, where we bring them in to the office, use the conference room, and teach them about money, investing, just the stuff that they don't talk about in school.
I think that is
Like
great.
basic account. Like I'm not going to teach them how to balance a checkbook.
Yep.
I don't even know if you need to know how to balance a checkbook, but you need to know how much money you have in the bank. You need to know that once you get a job making X amount of dollars, what should you do with that money? Like, do you go get a car payment? Do you go buy, get a car and get a car payment, which most kids do?
Yep.
Should they be buying a house? Should they not be buying a house? Is renting good? If you're renting, should you be renting the $1,500 apartment? Or should you be renting the $600 basement someone has for rent? Huh, Rashawn? There are $600 basements you can rent. You do not need to rent a $1,500 2-bedroom because you feel like you need it. Or you've earned it. Like, literally, people feel like they've earned it. And they need to be there so that they feel good about themselves. When the truth is, they don't understand money.
Yeah.
Kids do not understand money. So Heather and I want to have them, put it out there. And maybe there's some people out there that are not teenagers that need to come listen. We'll let them come listen too. But it's more for teenagers. The parents can come because they might learn. They might not like what they hear.
Yeah.
But, I did some of those wrong things.
I think that's a great idea, and I'm glad that I got into this role in this environment before it was too late.
Do you know any, okay, we don't have to name names, but do you know anyone that got a good job out of high school or that's your age that maybe bought a car or investing their money the wrong way?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people. And I mean, they don't know anything different.
They don't know. Because who's teaching them?
No one.
No one's teaching them.
I have so many people asking me, like, why we don't have any payments or why we have a house or what our goals are. And they're like, well, you don't want your forever home now? And we're like, no. I mean, we're sacrificing. We do want one, but we're not buying our forever home with the acreage and stuff that we want because we want more things for our future.
Yeah.
So
Heather and I were just talking about this. So back in 2009, 2010, Jason Edwards, he's one of the cheapest individuals I've ever met. He works for me in construction, and he taught Heather and I how to make this pizza. Have you heard of Jiffy Pizza?
no.
Okay. Well, if you want to save money, there's you can buy the dough in Walmart. I think it might be Walmart brand or a Jiffy Pizza brand. You can buy the dough and make your own pizzas for like literally $1.50 or $2 a pizza.
Wow.
So back in 2008, we had a budget of $40 a week to go to the grocery store.
Oh my gosh.
That was our budget. So Heather and I would go to Walmart. I mean, this is after shit hit the fan. We had no freaking money, and we were on a budget, and we wanted the hell out of debt. Whatever I got myself into, which was my fault, I wanted out of. And for us, it was $40 a week. And I would add it up. I was adding it up on my phone going around the store, and we would get rid of stuff if we wouldn't. I mean, we got into major arguments walking around that store. I'm like, Jason's doing it. I can do it. And we would make our own pizza. We might have had one baby at the time. We might not. I don't think we had kids at that time. But we did it. $40 a week.
Wow.
What's the soup? Ramen noodles. I ate a shit ton of ramen noodles. I love it.
It's cheap.
So when people say that they don't have enough money and they can't figure it out, they haven't really gone to that level yet. We had to stop going out to eat. We had to, I had nice vehicles before that, but we went to Toyota Priuses to all of us. Gas was high. A Prius was the way to go. We spent hardly any money on gas. We changed the trajectory of our future by living differently. Like we didn't go on vacations for like 7 years in a row. None.
Wow.
And finally we had Olivia, and she was starting to be 3 or 4, like 2, 3 or 4, like 3 or 4. And Heather kept pressuring me, we got to go to the beach for a week, like 1 week, we got to take out of the year. I'm like, no, we can't do it. Finally I met, my friend Bob Foltz had a beach house down there, and he was giving me a discount to go down there, like $1,200 for the whole week.
Wow.
And we did that for like 5 years in a row. Every year I went there, I was like, I'm buying a house. Like, I really couldn't buy a house, but I kept saying what I was going to do.
Yeah.
But we did not go on fancy vacations. We kept saving. 7 years after going to Bob's Beach House, I finally found one down there for sale in that community, and we bought it. We bought it right. We put a fair amount of money down, and I got a 15-year mortgage because I wanted to be in a good spot. And now that $150,000 house is worth $500,000.
That's awesome. Wow. So it definitely paid off to live that lifestyle.
Yes. We lived it. It was very tight. Spaghetti, a lot of spaghetti, and we made our own pizza.
Were you both on board on doing this lifestyle?
I was 100% on board. She was just along for the ride. I don't know if she ultimately was agreeing with it, but and you can't eat as healthy as you want when you're doing that. Like that's probably why I had trouble, eating right. But she obviously ate right. But if you sacrifice for a certain amount of time and invest your money, it doesn't matter how much you're making. My friend's a financial investor, a financial advisor, and he works with teachers. Teachers don't make a lot of money, but he works with teachers that have retirements in the $500,000 to $600,000 range.
Wow.
Because the schools bring in financial advisors to teach them to invest.
Did you ever have a financial advisor?
I was in a networking group that allowed me to have there was a financial advisor in my networking group in Carlisle.
Wow.
So I saw it from that point of view. I did a college account. We've been doing like $200 a month. I think there's like 100,000 in there right now.
Wow, that's awesome.
So we have done that. We did do a Roth IRA. Now we make too much, so we can't do a Roth.
Okay.
But we did. I think you should have a. Do you have a Roth IRA? $50 a month. Start it.
Okay.
Find a financial advisor. Find someone you can network with.
Okay.
Ask them if they have a realtor they're going to refer.
Yep.
If they already have one, just say okay and move on to the next one. Find one that will consider using you as an agent.
Okay.
And network. And do $50 a month into a Roth IRA.
Why $50?
I don't think you should do any more. Like I don't think you should be in, because we want to be saving.
Yep.
But start. So then you can start to see how it starts to build a gap, and your 50 is eventually worth 100, and then it becomes worth, your interest becomes worth more than the money you put in there.
Wow.
The money you make. But it's a good way. It's a good way. I don't think you should do all of it, because I think if you're experienced in real estate, you should do more of real estate, and that's what I've done.
Okay.
But my brothers and I, we do a SEP IRA. I think we do like 100 a month in it that Kim does for us. I think. I have to go ask. But
that's awesome.
But I do think you should invest into that kind of stuff. But it's the same thing that Warren Buffett has always done. He lives in the same house that he bought many, many years ago. And he just wants to make a 10% return. He wants to invest his money into something that he knows is going to work. He invested into Coca-Cola, just high companies that he knows is operating at a high level. And really, that's all I've done is invested in real estate. I don't need to make as much now. I just want to buy things that are going to cash flow and make me money on a regular month. And eventually the tenants are going to pay that down.
Wow, that's true.